Pause. Chosen one. Avoid blinking and keep your gaze steady. Because the moment your eyes met this point, something ancient, divine, and written about you before time began reawakened. You did not come to this location by accident. You weren't scrolling randomly. You were summoned. There are times in life when heaven whispers. However, it is not a whisper. This is a sacred interruption. A spiritual stop sign located in front of your soul. Pay attention. Something in your spirit already recognizes that the information I'm about to provide is insufficient. Motivation is not an issue. It's not an inspiration. This is a revelation. A message woven into your destiny and delivered over time. A message from the divine. Furthermore, he claims that this is your objective. Stay in this place. If you choose to move on, you will miss out on a word that has the potential to change the course of your life. Breathe slowly, beloved child of God. Because the information you are about to receive is intended to redirect you rather than provide solace. Heaven has been watching you as you navigate life with a heart full of fortitude, a mind full of questions, and a soul full of quiet battles that no one notices. You have borne the brunt of pain with fortitude. You have carried the burden of responsibility with dignity. You kept your dignity in the face of disappointment. However, God is intervening in this moment to deliver a message that is deeper than you have ever allowed yourself to hear. No, you're not wandering. You are not overlooked. You are not a random person. You were designed with a specific purpose in mind. Your spirit has been restless. Certain things no longer satisfy you, and old habits feel tight, uncomfortable, and impossible to break. All of these signs indicate that God is bringing you back into alignment with your true purpose. It was not intended that you pursue every possibility. You weren't meant to be universally compatible. And it was never intended for you to face the expectations of those who did not understand your calling. God is clearing the noise. He is streamlining your route. He is closing the doors that are keeping you distracted, not to punish you, but to protect your goal. For this reason, my dearest, please pay close attention.
The world's celebrations lack purpose. Your purpose stems from what God whispered into your soul before you were born. Scripture says, "I knew you before you were formed in the womb."
God did not anticipate your goal in Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. He was responsible for designing it. He incorporated it into your DNA. You were created with a purpose, assigned with precision, and distinguished by logic. Today, God reminds you of the reason. Your goal is not to pursue a profession. Careers fluctuate, but it doesn't. A title is not your goal. Titles gradually diminish, but it doesn't. Your goal is not to gain the approval of others. Time changes to approval, but it doesn't. The crowd's applause isn't your goal. Crowds dispersed. The goal remains the same. You were designed to walk with God, reflect Him, carry Him, and reveal Him. All other matters are incidental. Your goal is obedience, not perfection. Not performance, but alignment. Not fame, but faithfulness. You want to know why you're feeling so heavy inside. Why don't certain environments feel right anymore? What causes certain relationships to be so draining? Why did certain opportunities suddenly cease to exist? God is repositioning you for the purpose for which you were created, as He says. You have matured spiritually in certain ways. Heaven beckons you to ascend. Higher always requires the abandonment of the lower. The conflicts you faced were not unintentional. They were in the process of training. Heartbreaks were not a form of punishment. They were a diversion. There were no denials regarding the delays. They were preparatory. Capacity is required for this purpose. Pressure leads to an increase in capacity. Pressure generates depth. Even Jesus prepared for his purpose. Joseph followed suit. David followed suit. Moses also did this. Similarly, you did. Beloved, God is not late. There is no uncertainty about God. There is no silence from God. He ensures that all aspects of your life are in line with the blueprint He initially established for you. That is why He is informing you today. Your goal is to accomplish this. Accept the situation. Your goal is to develop a profound understanding of God, to follow Him with unwavering devotion, to place complete trust in Him, to be with Him on a daily basis, to carry His light wherever you go, being in love in a world full of fear, to resemble heaven in a world fraught with uncertainty. In order to live differently, to radiate quietly, to proceed with assurance, to remain firm in the face of misunderstanding, to comply despite uncertainty, maintain faith even when faced with fear. That is the goal. Calling. That's an assignment. Achievement is the world's standard for evaluating lifespans. God evaluates lives based on how they align. Hear me in the Spirit. Your distractions are about to be removed by God. Access the content that aligns with your preferences. Strengthen the bonds that connect you. Silence any elements that perplex you. Individuals will gradually decline. Not all desires will be constant. Certain dreams will be modified. Certain priorities will be spiritually reorganized. Not because you lose anything. However, you're discovering your true calling. God is expressing that I did not contact you to be preoccupied. I contacted you to confirm that we were in agreement. Alignment brings clarity. Clarity is key to achieving peace. Peace facilitates movement. Movement is what brings about fulfillment. The point at which you stop pursuing. Begging is no longer an option for you. You're no longer required to use force. You are no longer a competitor. Because the achievement of your goal will be accompanied by tranquility rather than the imposition of pressure. With clarity and not confusion. Not in doubt, but with purpose. You are being lifted by God. I am not seeking attention, but only for the purpose of this assignment. You are entering a period when your spirit will finally feel at ease within your calling, where the natural development of everything that God has placed within you will begin, where purpose serves as a compass, where obedience turns into fortitude, where God becomes the center of your life. You, beloved, are not lagging. You are not late. You are exactly where God can communicate with you. And today, heaven is urging you to return to your original purpose. Proceed in accordance with your objectives. Embrace your purpose. This is why you were created. If this message triggered a strong emotion within you, if you noticed an increase in clarity, this is for me if something inside you whispered. Breathe in and type Amen in the comments section. No, it isn't ritualistic. However, this indicates that your heart is saying, God, I hear you. I've received this.
I am ready to take on the role you have planned for me.
We are delighted to welcome you back to our community of light. Selected individuals, you have recently received notification that your name has been called in the waiting room where you have been seated for several months. The delay that appeared to be punishment was actually divine positioning, and the release you've been praying for is happening right now as you read this. It is no coincidence that you are here at this exact moment. Heaven recorded this appointment on your spiritual calendar before you woke up this morning. The information I am about to reveal will explain why the previous 6 months appeared to be a slog. What was the reason for the persistent locking of doors that were supposed to be open? The reasons for the sudden disappearance of seemingly certain opportunities, as well as the sense of being stuck while those around you progressed. Turn off all distractions that are currently competing for your attention, because the Holy Spirit is about to reveal a mystery that will fundamentally change your perspective on your current season. You've been stuck, approaching the same mountain, knocking on the same doors, and waiting for the same breakthrough. You advised yourself to be patient. You tried to maintain a positive attitude. You convinced yourself that you had misunderstood God's timing instructions. However, a part of you was certain that the promise was genuine and that the delay would be temporary. Your nighttime restlessness is not due to frustration. Anticipation is the term. Your spirit has detected activity in the heavenly realms that your natural mind has yet to comprehend. Behind the veil, construction has begun. God has been working on something so large that it required this extended period of preparation. You were in the green room when heaven set the stage. During your warm-up, the arena was filled with the appropriate audience. Is there any noticeable change in the atmosphere? Something previously locked is now unlocked. Something that was previously closed is reopening. Something that was previously concealed is now being revealed. This is not a case of positive affirmation or wishful thinking. This is a prophetic revelation about events that are taking place in the spirit realm and are about to manifest in your physical circumstances. You've been experiencing strange sensations that you've been unable to explain to anyone because they don't make sense. You awaken with a startling realization about decisions that have perplexed you for months. After weeks of exhaustion, you have sudden bursts of energy that are unexplainable. You find yourself smiling without any apparent reason. Despite the fact that nothing visible has changed in your situation, you have a strong suspicion that something is wrong. The lyrics of random songs become ingrained in your mind, almost like personal prophecies. You hear phrases in conversations that appear to be coded messages meant for you. You notice numerical patterns that continue to repeat, as if heaven is trying to get your attention. These emotions are not arbitrary. These are not just coincidences. These are not just figments of your imagination. These are signs that the spiritual season has changed, and the natural world is on the verge of catching up. Your spirit is receiving the transmission before you can see the manifestation. You are detecting the frequency of breakthroughs before any evidence appears in your bank account, relationships, or circumstances. Your frustration is completely justified. You've seen people start their journeys after you and finish them before you. You've seen people who are less qualified get jobs for which you were better prepared. While you waited for your turn, you noticed connections forming in the surrounding area. You've been a bridesmaid at a number of weddings, but you're not sure when your own will take place. You've secretly wondered why your own progress appears to be stalled while encouraging others to reach milestones. You have been meticulous in your preparation, consistent in the hidden places, and faithful in the small details. However, the platform has yet to be introduced. You have been honing your skills, and no one is currently looking for applications. You've been developing capacity that hasn't been tested. You've been preparing for assignments that haven't been offered, and the wait has been excruciating. The delay has tested your faith more severely than the trial. It is more difficult to maintain optimism when nothing changes than to remain steadfast when everything is in disarray. I'd like to update you on the actual events that have occurred during this season, which appears to be devoid of any significant events. God was working while you waited. Heaven was working on your behalf while you were seated. Although you felt overlooked, you were actually remembered in rooms you were unaware existed. Your name has been mentioned by people who will influence the course of your life. Opportunities have arisen in places you have never visited. Resources have been accumulating in accounts you have yet to access. The delay was strategic, not punitive. No, God wasn't withholding from you. He was preparing for your arrival. He was moving obstructions that were invisible to the naked eye. He was closing doors that would have led to dead ends. He was preventing the formation of relationships that could have jeopardized your future. He was guiding you away from opportunities that were disguised as traps. He was protecting you from partnerships that appeared to be profitable but would ultimately be harmful. Heaven has been organizing a convergence in the background. People who require your presence are positioned in your path. Opportunities for your unique gifting are being generated, and your name is already attached. The resources that will fund your vision are being transferred to individuals, who will then transfer them to you. Doors imprinted with your fingerprints are being installed in buildings you have not yet visited. The waiting room wasn't a form of punishment. It was a chamber for preparation. The delay did not constitute a denial. It was a period of expansion. The silence did not indicate abandonment. Incubation was the term. Seeds were sown in the unseen realm, and they needed time to germinate before reaching the surface. It was impossible to speed up the process without violating the agreement. Denial was never the cause of the delay. The wait was never about being ignored. The silence was never meant to be disregarded. God was making time to arrange connections that required precise timing, to align specific circumstances, and to move specific people into positions. You would have missed it if you had arrived a day earlier. If the door had opened the next day, it would have been closed. However, at this exact moment, everything is coming together at the intersection of human readiness and divine timing. You have been perplexed as to why God did not respond to your prayer in the way you had requested at the time. You were perplexed as to why the door you were banging on stayed closed. You've been perplexed by the reasons why the relationship you wanted didn't happen, the job you applied for was given to someone else, and the opportunity you were so sure of was lost at the last minute. You've replayed those moments in your mind, trying to figure out what went wrong, what you could have done differently, and what you missed. You are currently in the process of understanding the situation. They were not rejections. These were redirections. The responses were not negative. They were not yet responses. These weren't closed doors. The doors were incorrect. You were not punished by God. He was protecting you. He did not disregard your prayers. He was responding to them with wisdom that far exceeded your limited understanding at the time. The relationship ended abruptly. It wasn't because of your inadequacy. It was because they were not who you needed. You were not successful in obtaining that position. It wasn't because you lacked qualifications. It was due to the fact that that position would have limited your growth and potential. That business partnership eventually fell apart. It wasn't due to your failure. It was because that alliance would have compromised your integrity and distorted your perspective. Each disappointment served as a divine appointment that resulted in a redirection. The hand of God was visible in each closed door, guiding you away from a destination that appeared promising on paper but would have been disastrous in reality. Each delay served as a diversion from a completely unexpected accident. Each no served as a safeguard against a potentially disastrous yes vote. Consider it now with the clarity that time brings. Consider the destinations that those routes would have taken you to. Consider who you would have become if you had received your desired item at the appropriate time. Consider what compromises you would have made, values that you would have rejected. Your destiny would have been forfeited. Now give thanks to God for the delays. I'm grateful for the closed doors. We thank God for the unanswered prayers that appeared to indicate His absence, but were actually evidence of His presence and protection. If this is currently striking a chord with you, and you can see your own story in the content I'm presenting, please click the like button. Allow that to serve as your consent to heaven's declarations concerning this period of your life. God has protected you from premature blessings that could have become a burden. He has kept you safe from relationships that appeared promising but would have jeopardized your future. His actions have been to keep you from pursuing opportunities that would divert your attention away from your true responsibilities. What appeared to be rejection was in fact divine protection. What seemed to be a closed door was actually a detour around a trap. Consider the position that you were so disappointed with that you were unable to secure. Consider the relationship that ended and left you heartbroken. Consider the opportunity that you missed. Consider what you now know that you didn't know then. Consider where those paths might have led. Consider the scenario in which you received your desired item at the desired time. You would be confined to an inappropriate location with people who were engaging in inappropriate behavior. You were too beloved by God to receive what you asked for, even if it wasn't what you needed. You've been refined by the wait. The delay was caused by the process of developing you. You've been maturing as a result of your holding pattern. You are not the same person who initiated this journey. You do not share the same viewpoint. You do not have the same reaction. You are not prone to the same behaviors. The same excuses are unacceptable to you. Your expectations have risen. Your discernment has been improved. Your faith has been authenticated and tested. The individual who participated in this season would not have anticipated the treatment that the individual who is about to exit the season will receive. The blessing would have been mishandled by the previous version of yourself. The opportunity would have been squandered by the previous version of yourself. The previous version of yourself would have undermined the relationship. However, the version of you that has been refined by the wait, shaped by the process, and tested by the fire is now ready to guide what comes next. You've gained the ability to worship in the wilderness. So, you've mastered the technique of praising in the gutter. You've developed the discipline of faith in the event that emotions fail. You've developed spiritual muscle, which can only be strengthened through resistance. You have developed a level of patience that can only be increased through the act of waiting. You have attained a level of wisdom that is only gained through experience. You developed resilience as a result of rejection. The betrayal helped you develop discernment. The disappointment served as a reminder to put your trust in God rather than people or situations. The isolation forced you to find your identity in the approval of heaven rather than in earthly validation. You were unaware of your own strength until the struggle revealed it to you. The pressure revealed a character trait that you were previously unaware of. You've been to the wilderness, but you're not wandering aimlessly. You have been in the desert, but you do not feel thirsty. You've been engulfed by flames, but you're not being consumed. You were caught in the storm, but you are not in danger of drowning.
Oh, every experience that you had. You persevered despite each setback. Every betrayal you have experienced. Shunned.
Every obstacle you overcame. It was all designed to get you ready for the upcoming events. The degree you are about to receive is important, which is why the curriculum was challenging. The importance of the assignment required rigorous training. The promotion is substantial, which is why the test was challenging. It was impossible to skip levels. The procedure could not be sped up. The maturity was not microwavable. Certain things can only be developed over time, under pressure, and through testing. The following is the most important information you need to know right now. The current release is about more than just obtaining the requested item. It refers to receiving the specific preparations that God has made for you. The upcoming event exceeds your expectations. The door opening is larger than the closed door. The relationship that is currently developing is more beneficial than the one that has ended. The opportunity that is imminent outweighs the opportunity that has already occurred. Your prayers have focused on provision. God is releasing abundance. You've been requesting a breakthrough. You are experiencing a God-given breakthrough. You've been looking forward to this opportunity. God is establishing a platform. You have had a persistent desire to work. God is bestowing a career upon you. You have been looking for a partner. God is sending you a covenant connection. You have been pursuing an opportunity. God is opening a door that no one else can close. The forthcoming blessing is more than just an upgrade. It's a complete transformation. This isn't just marginally better than your previous situation. It is exponentially greater than what you lost. God does not simply restore. With an increase, He restores. He is not just a healer. He increases the length of your life and encourages healing. He doesn't just unlock doors. He gives you the keys to keep the doors open and opens them. Your losses from the previous season will be recouped sevenfold this season. The years that the locusts consumed are being repaid with interest. The joy that was stolen is being restored in multiplied form. The previously disrupted peace has returned with such force that nothing can disturb it again. Relationships that have ended are being replaced with connections that are so strong that betrayal cannot break them. The upgrade is so significant that you needed this time to make the necessary arrangements. You would not have been ready to handle it if it had arrived sooner. If the door had been opened 6 months ago, you would have entered as the wrong version of yourself, undermining the blessings that God was trying to bestow on you. If you had started the relationship last year, you would have brought unresolved trauma into it and contaminated something beautiful. If you had been presented with the opportunity when you first requested it, you would not have been able to manage it effectively. The blessing you are about to receive requires you to be a different person than you were 6 months ago. The door that is now open to you requires a level of maturity that you did not have 1 year ago. The upcoming relationship necessitates healing, which you did not have when you first started praying for it. The impending financial increase necessitates the knowledge you gained through hardship. The platform being built requires a level of humility that can only be gained by being overlooked. The timing is not off. The timing is precise. The timing is impeccable. My time has come. Therefore, I request that you immediately enter your comments. Repeat the phrase 7 times. Declare it as the law of your life. Allow your words to create the conditions for manifestation. This is not a presumption. This is faith, speaking of things that are not yet visible as if they were already real. Currently, a convergence is occurring in the spirit realm. Angels are in motion. The doors are being unlocked. Connections are being established. Resources fluctuate. What had been frozen is now thawing, loosening what had been bound. The item that was postponed is now being released. The shipping department is currently processing your delivery because the warehouse of heaven received the order bearing your name. You will begin to see events unfold at a rapid pace, which you have been anticipating for years. The force required to open doors that would not budge will be so great that you will not even need to push. Individuals who have neglected you will seek your input, attendance, and involvement. Opportunities that were previously overlooked will resurface. This time, however, they will make a greater impact, use larger platforms, and offer better terms. Resources that were previously unavailable will now be available through channels you were unaware of. It is unavoidable that funds will flow from sources that you neglected to monitor. Tenor, you will receive checks in the mail that you were not expecting. Opportunities will arise during conversations you thought were informal. Doors will open through connections that you previously thought were insignificant. In 6 months, you will barely recognize your own life due to the rapid acceleration. When you consider where you are now, you will be astounded at how far you have come in such a short period of time. When you review your calendar, you will be astounded by the meetings that took place, the deals that were successfully closed, the relationships that were formed, and the breakthroughs that were made. Individuals will inquire about the events that occurred. They will be eager to learn your secret. They will inquire about your strategy. Furthermore, you will be unable to provide them with a formula because the events that are about to unfold in your life are beyond human capacity. It is not feasible to package and sell this substance. It is impossible to teach this in a seminar. This cannot be condensed into 5 steps. This is the result of divine orchestration, heavenly intervention, and pure supernatural favor. You are about to have the experience of God's presence and action on your behalf. You are about to see the result of heaven's determination that now is your time, and no action on earth can change that. Doors you have not knocked on are about to be revealed. Opportunities have arisen that you did not apply for. Relationships emerge that you did not seek. Resources are provided to you without your involvement. It is not a question of you earning it. This refers to its receipt by you. This is not about increasing your workload. This refers to your ability to operate more efficiently by allowing God to work in a supernatural way. This isn't about your increased effort. Here, the emphasis is on your ability to trust in His process and rest in His timing. No amount of human resistance can stop what God has unleashed when He decides to act on your behalf. During this season, God compensates for the time lost. This is the moment when heaven makes amends for every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every disappointment, and every delay. The Bible promises that God will replenish the years that the locusts devoured. That's not a symbolic language. That is an explicit assurance. Everything consumed during your testing season will be returned to you with interest. You are about to enter rooms you were previously unaware of. You are about to meet people who will play a significant role in your future. You are about to receive offers that will exceed your expectations. You are about to enter positions for which you did not apply, audition, or campaign. Heaven is about to endorse you in a way that bypasses human gatekeepers and earthly protocols. Your life will be blessed in an undeniable and inexplicable way. Individuals will inquire as to how you arrived at the location you intend to visit. Furthermore, the supernatural nature of the process will prevent you from responding rationally. The promotion is not being distributed via the channels you are monitoring. So, the breakthrough is not coming from the direction you were observing. God is about to take you down a path you did not expect, through a door you were unaware existed. Do not continue to investigate the doors you've been knocking on. Stop monitoring the situations that you've been observing. Please refrain from checking phones that haven't rung. God is about to present you with opportunities you are not aware of right now. What follows is not an extension of the course of action you have been taking. It is a far superior and completely unique entity. We have not squandered your previous experiences. Every skill you learned, every lesson you learned, every relationship you formed, and every mistake you corrected. Everything above will help your upcoming season. There were no arbitrary elements. Nothing lacked significance. Everything was prepared. The dots are about to be connected in a way that will help you understand why certain events had to happen while others had to be avoided. Those who abandoned you during the difficult season are not invited to the harvest season. The blessings of manifestation are not available to those connections who were unable to withstand the pressure of preparation. The relationships that abandoned you in the wilderness are not permitted to accompany you to the promised land to celebrate. By keeping your distance from your previous season, God will protect your advancement to the next level. Currently, new relationships are being formed that are specifically tailored to your upcoming chapter. You're about to interact with people who share your energy, vision, and language. You are about to make a connection with people who will not deplete you, but rather inspire you. You are about to enter rooms where you will not have to defend, explain, or diminish yourself. You're on the verge of discovering your tribe. These connections will occur in an unexpected and supernatural manner. You will encounter people in unexpected places. Conversations that appear casual will turn into substantial partnerships. Introductions that appear to be coincidental will turn out to be divine appointments. It is critical to be aware of the people who enter your life during this season, as they are not completely random. Assignments are created. Before I release you into this new season, you must understand the following. The transition will not wait for you to be ready. The door will not remain open until you gain enough confidence. The opportunity will not be suspended while you work on your insecurities. When God declares that the time has come, it is the correct time, regardless of one's readiness, qualification, or confidence. The release is currently underway. It is not your responsibility to choose the method. It is your responsibility to answer affirmatively. It is not your responsibility to know all the answers. It is your responsibility to initiate the process. You are not responsible for observing the entire staircase. It is your responsibility to proceed down the illuminated staircase directly in front of you. Faith does not require comprehension of the entire scheme. Faith requires you to have confidence in the person who devised the strategy. In the name of Jesus, Father, I come before you to elevate each person who has been waiting for this moment. Lord, you are aware of the tears they have shed in secret, unsure whether their time will ever come. When it appeared that heaven was silent, you counted each prayer they said. While others celebrated, you documented each sacrifice they made. However, the wait is now over. The season has changed. The door is now being opened. Right now, I decree and declare that what was held in reserve will be released. I present opportunities that are currently being developed. The connections that have been developing are summoned. I activate the resources that have accumulated. Allow each door that needs to be opened to open at this time. Let every relationship that should form form now. Let every breakthrough that has been delayed manifest now. I break every spirit of delay off of their lives. I cancel every assignment of procrastination. I demolish every stronghold of fear that would cause them to hesitate when the door opens. I speak boldness into their spirit. I speak with confidence into their mind. I speak clarity into their vision. I plead the blood of Jesus over their next season. I seal their future with the promises of God. I declare that favor is not just coming. Favor has arrived. Provision is not just on the way. Provision is being distributed. Connections are not just being formed. Connections are being activated. Let them walk through doors they did not open. Let them receive offers they did not solicit. Let them experience acceleration they did not orchestrate. This is the season of suddenly. This is the moment for now. This is the time of manifestation. I declare that 6 months from now they will look back at this moment and recognize it as the turning point. They will trace their breakthrough back to this day. They will identify this word as the catalyst that shifted everything. It is done. It has been established. It is sealed. No delay can reverse it. No opposition can stop it. No enemy can prevent it. The release has been authorized by heaven, and nothing on earth can cancel it. Now I need you to do something to lock this in. If you believe that your season has shifted, if you sense that your wait is over, if you know in your spirit that breakthrough is here, then make sure you are subscribed to this channel. This community is for people who are walking into their next level and need content that matches their new altitude. When you subscribe, you align yourself with others who are experiencing the same supernatural shift. Make sure that like button is activated because every like is an agreement. Everything is like an Amen. Each like is a declaration that you are receiving the blessings that heaven is dispensing. Also, please forward this message to another individual who has been anticipating it. An additional individual who has been in a state of limbo. Another individual who requires confirmation that their time has arrived. Leave this message with a different perspective than when you first encountered it. You can depart with the assurance that the wait is over. Leave with the assurance that the door is about to open. Leave with the assurance that the manifestation of what God has promised. Refrain from returning to previous patterns of dubiety. Do not revert to the fearful patterns that are familiar to you. Refrain from reverting to the familiarity of playing small. You are being propelled into an entirely new realm. What the new you is about to receive was beyond the capacity of the old you. The previous version of you was not prepared for the opportunities that are now available. However, the you that has been refined through the wait, the you that has been developed through the delay, and the you that has been matured through the process is now ready. This iteration of yourself is optimally situated for the forthcoming events. I will see you in the subsequent message, where we will delve even further into the intricacies of your calling and the specifics of your assignment. Until then, maintain a forward gaze, walk with your head held high, and maintain an expectant spirit. The best is yet to come. The most exceptional opportunity is currently available to you. You are on the brink of entering it. I chose one. Please take a moment to reflect, as this is more than just another message. Your spirit is already aware of the divine interruption. When the unseen enters the scene, heaven leans in closer than usual, and something within you awakens unexpectedly. This is one of those cases. You were not directed here at random. There are signs within you, Omega-level signs, that few have and even fewer recognize. which is why you were summoned. You, the Anointed One, have been through it, haven't you? That subtle distinction, that weight, you could never fully express. A sense that something deeper than circumstance has had an impact on your life. This is not a product of your imagination. This is an acknowledgement. Scripture reminds us that you were known before you were created, not just seen, but set apart. When God separates something, He also gives it purpose, protection, and pressure. The silent battles, isolation, and refinement you have undergone were never unintentional. The goal was to prepare for a spiritual authority that does not make an announcement, but instead transforms everything when it arrives. If you are receiving this message now, it indicates a convergence in your life. Please stay connected so that you do not miss the revelations that are coming in this hour. The information that follows will reveal the signs you were never taught to recognize but were always meant to carry. Dear Chosen One, please listen carefully, because the condition you previously identified as weakness was never in fact a weakness. It demonstrated that heaven had a different perspective on you. There were times in your life when you quietly looked around and asked yourself, "Why is this so difficult for me?" You tried to mimic the actions of others. You tried to conform to systems that appeared to work for others. You watched others progress effortlessly while you carried an intangible burden that no one could articulate. And there was always a quiet tension in the background, the feeling that something about you didn't belong here. However, Anointed One, what if I told you that tension was not a form of rejection, but rather an acknowledgement? Your life is guided by a plan that deviates from traditional norms. The results that the world understands were not meant to validate you. Your confirmation was never obtained through the same channels as others, because you were designed to operate from a completely different source. Your life has always been influenced by invisible alignment, whereas others measure success using visible outcomes. You've lived as a contradiction. There are days when you have wisdom beyond your years, and then there are times when you feel like you're just trying to understand the fundamentals of life. You have a quiet strength within you that can dispel darkness without saying a word, but you can sit with someone else's pain and feel it as if it were your own. Despite the fact that you have been exposed to situations that should have hardened you, your heart remains open. This is not a state of confusion. That's not an imbalance. That's your design. You were never meant for simplicity, Chosen One. You were designed for depth. You were created with the ability to perceive what others miss, feel what others ignore, and maintain environments that would cause the majority of people to collapse. Yes, you have incurred a cost. You contributed more than you received. You have comprehended people who have never understood you. Despite investing in others, you found yourself alone when you needed a partner. In those quiet moments, you wondered if there was something wrong with you, but there isn't. There is a world that is still learning how to hear the truth, and the frequency you carry does not always translate. The reasons you can enter a room and sense everything without anyone speaking, why you can sense shifts before they happen, and why certain environments drain you while others instantly awaken. Something in your spirit are all explained here. The sensitivity you tried to suppress, the awareness you thought was excessive, was never meant to be suppressed. This is your filtration system. God implanted it in you to help you identify what is aligned and what is not, to help you navigate the spaces that others pass through unconsciously, and to provide you with clarity in confusing environments. However, it is important to recognize that this level of awareness comes with a sense of obligation, as you are unable to live in a state of unconsciousness, whereas others can ignore their circumstances. While others may be able to tolerate misalignment, your spirit responds, which can manifest as feelings of isolation, frustration, or exhaustion. You have refused to remain in situations where others would have chosen to stay. You've felt disconnected in situations where you were expected to be a part of a community, which has caused you to question your own identity. However, this was not instability. It was discernment or the deliberate choice of an individual. Your life was never haphazard. The misunderstandings, misjudgments, and the way in which people seemed to project things onto you that were never truly yours, including the difficulties you encountered early on, were not coincidences. They were spiritual awareness without explanation. You occasionally felt observed, evaluated, or even rejected, but you didn't fully understand why. The instances in which you were treated differently before you had the opportunity to show your true self left an indelible mark on you. However, it is important to note that you were not singled out because of your lower status. Rather, you were being marked for the extra weight you carried. Before you realized who you were, something unseen acknowledged your presence. This is why some battles started early, and some pressures felt out of proportion to your age, situation, and comprehension. It was never about your actions, but rather about the burden you carried. Nonetheless, you remain present, unscathed, unwavering, and unbroken. Despite the difficulties you have faced, you have maintained a softness, a sense of hope, and a willingness to love. Authority is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it represents power. True authority is not established through control. Rather, it is revealed by the remnants of one's character that stand up to external pressure. Meanwhile, you, the chosen one, persisted. You've never fully understood your path, but you've always felt its pull, that quiet knowing that there is something more, something bigger than what you can see right now, something that has been developing behind the scenes of your life. You may not have had the words to express it, and you may not have had clarity, but you have felt it, that persistent sense that your life is leading you to a specific destination despite the lack of external evidence. That is not imagination, but memory. Something in your spirit recalls the assignment before your mind can understand it. This is why you are unable to reach a resolution. This is why you're never completely satisfied with comfort. That is why, despite the appearance of stability, some of you continue to seek alignment. You were not sent here to float. Instead, you were sent here with a specific plan of action. And every delay, confusion, and unexpected turn you've encountered has impacted your ability to withstand what's to come. However, now that your course is irreversible, it becomes tangible. Some people can ignore their calling for years without suffering any consequences. Regardless of your readiness, you will face growth, be stretched, and shaken. And you've been through seasons when everything seems to break at once, when you're forced to confront things you'd rather avoid, and your life feels like it's being dismantled and rebuilt at the same time. Punishment is not intended, rather it is to ensure accuracy. The items you transport cannot remain inactive. As you ascend, your surroundings change. When you remember your identity, something unseen begins to move. This is the reason your growth is so rapid. You are not only living your life, you are also having an impact on future timelines. This is why the pressure is never completely relieved. You were never intended to remain unchanged. You were meant to awaken. And now, chosen one, a part of you is beginning to recognize the truth. Not just intellectually, but spiritually. You are realizing that your distinction was never an issue. Rather, it was a signal to understand. Furthermore, the subsequent realization will clarify this. I am the chosen one. Something else begins to emerge within you as this awareness settles into your spirit. Something that has always existed but has never been fully understood. It is the belief that your life has purposefully prepared you for something greater than what you can currently perceive, rather than haphazardly or vaguely. You've expressed it before, perhaps not aloud, but in the quiet recesses of your mind. The sense that you're here for something bigger than yourself. This sentiment is not based on pride or comparison to others, but rather on a deeply personal experience, almost as if a memory is emerging. No, that feeling was not the result of your imagination. It was the result of your task. You may not have fully recognized the presence of a pattern in your life. You are drawn to situations that are beyond your level of comfort. You are faced with obstacles that appear to be unusually severe. You are placed in environments that look more like training grounds than destinations. And you've wondered why your life feels like it's always in the process of getting ready rather than arriving. However, this is anointed because you were never supposed to arrive early. Omega-level souls go through a process that is often difficult to understand. Experiences shape your discernment, resilience, and awareness. You are placed in situations where you must grow without guidance, where you must trust, where you cannot receive confirmation, and where you must proceed without knowing where you are going. It may cause feelings of isolation. During certain seasons, you may feel as if you are the only one navigating the challenges you are facing. You may wish that someone could explain what is happening in front of you, or you may wonder if you are on the right track because nothing appears to be going as planned. However, the terrain you're on isn't confusing, it's construction. Consider the times when your life seemed to slow down, when doors did not open as expected, progress was delayed, and you were left in periods of waiting that tested your faith and patience. The seasons were not squandered. These were construction seasons. Certain items cannot be delivered to you until your foundation is capable of supporting them. Your life has been dedicated to building that foundation in ways that are not always visible from the outside. Although others were moving quickly, you were going through a significant development process that required time. You've learned to keep a steady mind in the face of emotional ups and downs, to discern the truth in situations where clarity is difficult to come by, and to stand firm when things get uncertain. These are not trivial lessons. These are essential due to the importance of stability for the items you transport. There have been times when you felt pulled in multiple directions, as if your circumstances did not match your internal emotions, and as if your external reality appeared to be disconnected from the internal awareness that something bigger was going on. The tension is not an error. It is the process of achieving alignment. You are developing the skill of trusting what is not yet visible. You are developing the ability to move without constant reassurance. You are developing the ability to recognize your own path, even if it does not resemble anyone else's. And that is not an easy task. There are days when you feel secure and clear-headed. You may experience feelings of insecurity, uncertainty, or even fatigue as a result of the process. There are days when you want a logical explanation. There are days when you want clarity more than anything else. This is indicative of human nature. Even in those moments, a part of you refuses to disengage completely. There is a persistent force that draws you back to the realization that your life is not ordinary, that your path is not random, and that there is a process that you are meant to follow rather than avoid. Pressure does not exist in that pull. Purpose. You are not being guided the same way as others. Your route is not intended to be easy. It is intended for activation. This is why stagnation does not last for long periods of time in your life. This is why, when you try to establish a relationship with an entity that is not in alignment, you experience a reaction within yourself. You've felt that sensation before. The discomfort that arises when something is wrong. That quiet voice that warns you that this isn't the case, even though everything appears to be fine. That internal resistance makes it difficult to remain in places where one's spirit is not completely at ease. That is not instability. That is an example of clarity. You were not sent to this location solely to engage in life. You were sent to this location to exert influence. Additionally, awareness is required for influence. Discernment is necessary. It requires the ability to discern what is aligned and what is not. This ability has developed in you as a result of your life experiences. You now understand certain concepts that you were previously unaware of. There are now visible patterns that were previously hidden. Currently, some environments can be read without explanation. That's expansion. Furthermore, this development was not easy. It was learned through experiences that required trial and error. Moments when you were forced to rely on your instincts after having ignored them. Moments when you were forced to abandon responsibilities that were once considered important. Moments when you had to abandon the comforts of the past in order to make room for the truth. That requires a lot of fortitude. Not only physical, but also spiritual strength. Because it is not always easy to give up control. Walking away is not always evident. Choosing alignment over comfort frequently leads to a sense of loss before experiencing clarity. However, each time you chose alignment, regardless of the difficulty, you increased your ability to progress in your assignment. You're getting a better understanding of the items you carry, an increased awareness of how your presence affects the environment, increasingly aware of the consequences of your actions. Brawl. More aware of the obligation that comes with your awareness. This realization brings with it a change. You begin to realize that your existence is not solely about yourself. It's about the current that passes through you. Individuals who meet you may experience an unexplained shift in their emotions. Conversations will linger with others for a long time after they leave. In some cases, your mere presence can provide clarity in uncertain environments. Not because you are attempting it, but because you are carrying it. And that's when things start to shift. Once you become aware of the items you carry, there is no way to continue living the same way. It is no longer possible to ignore your emotions. You can no longer deny what is clear to you. You cannot continue to exist in environments that are directly opposed to your beliefs. This is the point at which the genuine transition begins. Because awareness comes before accountability. Transformation is the result of responsibility. You are not simply being presented with your identity. You are being invited to participate in it. Furthermore, you will be required to take action in response to the invitation. Honesty will be necessary. This will require courage. It will necessitate the willingness to try a new approach, even if it is unfamiliar. Because the situation you are facing cannot be lived halfway. As this realization deepens, something new emerges within you. Something that moves. Not only in how you perceive your path, but also in how the unseen responds to your presence. Selected,